Hey guys, it's Krista and welcome back to 12 Days of Creative Christmas on my channel, Inky Fairy Designs. Today is day 5 and we're going to be watercoloring this adorable card. This came in the December Simon Says stamp kit, card kit. And it's this pre-printed card or pre-printed image on watercolor card, and they are designed by Suzy Plantamura. I hope I am pronouncing that right. They're absolutely adorable. I'm going to be watercoloring the entire image using the silver black velvet brush round in number 4, and I'm using the watercolors that came in the card kit. They're Daniel Smith watercolors. There's it's kind of like a dot card, a sample card if you will, and there's 4 colors, and here I am. I just wanted to swatch them really quickly and kind of see what colors I was working with, because I am only going to be using these 4 colors to watercolor this entire image. And it works out well. We've got a red and a green, and then we have kind of like a tannish color for the reindeer and some blue for the snow and the sky and all that. And I'm going to show you how I mix these together. I kind of kept everything. I didn't really cut anything out. And you'll see that I pulled in one of my mixing palettes. It's just a large mixing palette. I put the dot card in there so that I could put out colors in there and kind of mix them together. And what I was doing first was trying to see if I could mix a brown, like a darker brown or a gray or black, because usually if you mix all of your colors together, you'll get like mud, which you don't want when you're coloring, but you sometimes want that color as a color. And in the end, I end up going with red and green and a little bit of blue, but I'll show you that when we get there. I started out because I started mixing those colors and it wasn't working, and I was like, let me just start coloring something. So I knew I was going to color the little reindeer with this tan color, and unfortunately I looked at the insert that comes with the kit, and it tells you everything included. It just says 1 custom Daniel Smith watercolor card with 4 colors. It doesn't tell you what colors those are. And here's my son. It was bedtime. He was saying goodnight, and I go live on Facebook sometimes if you guys follow me, and so he thinks when I'm filming for YouTube, like there's people like watching, and he just thinks it's hilarious to stick his head under the camera. Even though I tell him, no, this is for later. But yeah, I almost cut that part out, but I didn't, because it was kind of cute. And he actually bumped my camera and kind of messed it up a little bit, but oh well, I love him. He's 5, right? So yeah, it was bedtime, so if I'm pausing a little bit, that's what I was doing. I was giving my kids kisses, and like I said, I just really kept this editing really, really simple. But I am back to the voiceover, which is good. I feel much more comfortable doing the voiceover. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy that video yesterday. If you didn't catch it, I'll put a link over here so you can take a look at it, some mixed media ornaments we made for day 4. So here I am. I'm just bringing in, painting the reindeer, and I kept the same shade for his antlers, and I just used like a darker, more concentrated color for it, so it gives it a little bit of differentiation. That's a long word. But anyway, it distincts him a little bit, I guess. So here I am. While the reindeer is drying, I am going to do another layer on him, but while he's drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and color these trees using the green just as it is on the dot card. So just a very concentrated dark green. And I love the illustration of this artist. It's very whimsical and almost kind of vintage to me. So that's where I kind of got my inspiration for my coloring. I wanted to keep it very loose, very illustrative, and not do too much detail. So here I am. I am going to mix up like a dark gray. So I'm coming in, I'm mixing up the green, the red, and then I put in a little bit of that blue. And then this is really just a matter of experimentation. When you start to mix your watercolors to make other colors, you really just have to put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, until you get kind of the consistency and the color variation that you are looking for. And so mixing the green and the red, because they're opposites, they're going to make a brownish color. And then adding the blue in, toned that, cooled that down a little bit and made it much more of a grayish color. And so that's what I was able to use for the hooves, because I did want them to be dark, I wanted them to be black or dark or gray. And then I also used it for the shading for everything that I wanted white on the reindeer. So like the face, I kept that white, so I just added a little bit of shadow there. And on the tail, you can see just a little bit of a shadow. And it was the perfect shadow color for that. And again, I was able to keep with my challenge of using only the colors that came in the kit, because I think a lot of you might get the Simon Says stamp card kit and you get these in the kit and you might not know what to do with it, or you think, how am I going to color a whole image like this with just these 4 colors? So I wanted to show you, even though I have a plethora of other watercolors, Daniel Smith, other kinds, other brands I could have used, it sometimes is really nice to just keep it very simple and keep it very relaxed and just enjoy the process of coloring. And even for me, mixing new colors, that's something that I don't normally do, so that's something that pushes me out of my comfort zone, and I think that's always a good thing to do when we're doing something that we love and kind of looking for new ways of pushing ourselves. So I'm using the blue, and I really absolutely love this blue. I don't know what color it is. I wish I did, so I could see if I already have it or if I need to get it. I'm sure there's ways I could figure out what color it is. But I kept that concentrated for the snow that is on this card, the hills or whatever, and kept it very loose. Went in first wet on dry, and then did a little bit of wet on wet for that last hill, just to kind of give it a little bit less concentration of color. Then I wanted to come in and go and do the sky. Now I wanted the sky to be blue too, but I didn't want to use the same color blue. So I mixed a little bit of that blue into that grayish color that I had mixed earlier, and it just gives it a little bit of a different tone or a different blue tone to it, and it separates it enough. It's a little bit lighter than the color that I have on the hills, so it works. And then it wasn't exactly as blue as I wanted, so I did go in and drop, while it was wet, I dropped like alternating directly from that blue and then the little gray, I don't even know what you want to call it, the mixture that I did, and that really gave me a kind of, like snowy sky looks, are kind of grayish, and so that's what I was looking for. So now I'm coming in, this reindeer is dry. I can come in and add a second layer, and the great thing about Daniel Smith watercolors is that they layer beautifully. They're most of them are transparent. There are some more opaque colors in the line, but they are known for their transparency, and that's one of the beautiful things about having a limited palette, is that you can go in and do a wash, like a first color layer, and then when that dries you can go in and add a second layer, and it's just going to darken it up enough that you see the color variation. You can see that I have some shadows there, and you'll see that I left a lot of white space in the trees, in the ground, on the reindeer itself, and that just adds to that kind of illustrated look that I love about watercolors. So I'm coming in, I wanted to color in the jingle bells, and I wanted to use those red and greens again, and so I'm alternating the red and the green to fill in those colors, and I did a wet on wet for those colors, so they kind of just blend on their own, and there I do leave some white space even on those letters themselves, so they can look very, very loose and very, very simple. I mean, I kept this entire image super simple, and it was a joy to color. Like, that's what is great about this technique for me, is that I don't put, it sounds funny, but I don't put a lot of effort into it. but it looks beautiful in the end. And that's what I'm looking for, is something that is going to look pretty in the end, something that I enjoyed doing in the process. And I hope that helps some of you guys that are venturing into the watercolor world, that it doesn't have to be perfect. And I did start with Copic markers, and with Copic coloring I am a lot more detail oriented, and I love the loose effect that I can get with watercolors. So I just went in and added another layer, kind of deepened the little cheek area that I have on the reindeer, and now I want to add a drop shadow on to the words, again kind of lending to that old, like this image reminds me of like the vintage postcards, and they would have these like whimsical words on them, the very old school images, like illustrated images. I know I'm saying that a lot. So that's where I drew my inspiration in my mind. And so I added those drop shadows using the remainder of that little gray kind of mixture that I had on my palette. And I end up doing a drop shadow on the reindeer as well. And I use up as much as I can of that because I wasn't going to try to mix it again. So I showed you that I'm going to come in and I do bring in a couple other things besides the Daniel Smith dot card to color this image. One of the things is the Wink of Stella gold. I wanted to do the jingle bells on the reindeer in gold, and then I do bring in the Wink of Stella glitter just to kind of add a little shimmer to his nose, as well as the jingle bells, although that was an afterthought that you'll see later as I put the card together. I bring in my Posca white pen. I did add a little bit of like detail to the trees, snow detail, with the Posca white pen. Now I think I need a new one. I said this in my video yesterday that it just doesn't seem as bright white as when I first got it and absolutely loved it. So I think I need a new one because it's losing its luster for me, and I know it was amazing in the beginning. So the next thing that I do after I add this little snow is I speed this up because this took forever. It's probably the longest thing that took. I brought in a jelly roll pen, a white jelly roll pen. It's the medium fine tip, and I just added bunches of dots to look like snow, and I did it all over the image. And it's hard to see because the image is fairly light, but you can see it on the darker areas. And once I started doing this, I wasn't really impressed with it, but I was committed at that point, so I had to finish adding the little dots all over the image. So I did do that, and yeah, it took forever. I even sped this part up like a ton. So and then I just, like I said, that Posca white marker wasn't as great, and so I went over that with this gel pen and made it stand out a little bit more. And then all I do to finish off this card is I die cut it with a simple stitched rectangle die and put it on one of the blue note cards that is in the kit. So here I am adding that drop shadow. Like, I am using every little bit. I love the gray that I was able to achieve mixing up all those colors. It was just the perfect gray for the hooves and for all of the shadow areas. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I really am. It is forcing me to get creative every day. And yes, I am doing these videos the day that they go up because I'm a little bit crazy, and I thought of this series totally at the last minute. It wasn't any planning involved in it, and I'm determined to finish. This is like my personal challenge to myself. I have got so many of these great Christmas things that I have either coming or I've already got, and I want to use them. And this series is forcing me to get them out and use them every day, which is great. And it's also making me feel better. So I hope you guys are enjoying the series as well. If there's anything that you want to see, definitely let me know. I have some ideas for more watercolor cards, some painted watercolor cards that we don't use stamps or images for, just kind of loose things like that. Definitely more cards, tags, and ornaments to come. So there's the finished card for today. I absolutely love how it turned out, and if you guys do, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps me and encourages me to keep going as I'm pushing myself through this series of posting a video every single day for 12 days, which is, it's blowing my mind. I can hardly get 3 videos a week up for you guys. So thanks again, guys, for continuing to watch, like, and share my videos. I will put another watercolor video here for you guys if you're interested in seeing more. And as always, if you are liking what you're seeing and you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back tomorrow for another creative Christmas video. Until then, stay inspired, be creative, and share that with others. Bye.